Hello and welcome to Jason's Macintosh Museum. I'm Jason, your host, and today we're looking at the Macintosh Plus from 1986. Now, the Macintosh Plus is another member of the compact Macintosh family, and it was really an evolution of the original Macintosh, the 128K and the 512K. But the Plus introduced quite a number of new features, mostly in response to customer feedback from people who'd purchased the original Macintosh 128K and the 512K. One such criticism was that the 128K and even the Macintosh 512K didn't really have enough memory or storage space for demanding work, especially as the Macintosh was starting to be used more and more as a business computer. The Plus overcame this by offering a standard 1 megabyte of internal memory, which was expandable up to 4 megabytes. And it was also the first Macintosh to use the industry standard SIM, single inline memory module, expansion modules for its memory. But the Plus introduced quite a few other new features. It was the first Macintosh to offer built-in SCSI. So you could connect external peripherals such as external hard disks and tape drives and other such devices. And it was also the last Macintosh not to use a cooling fan. The cooling fan first came out with the Macintosh SE 1 year later. So let's talk about some statistics of the Macintosh Plus, and then we'll have a closer look. So the Macintosh Plus was first introduced in January of 1986, and it wasn't discontinued until October of 1990. So this Macintosh, the Plus, I believe to this day holds the record as being the Macintosh that had the longest production life. It was in production for nearly 5 years, which in the computer world is quite a long time. But I believe the Plus was kept in production for such a long time because it became the base model in the Macintosh line. So even in the late 80s, when you could buy the SE or the SE30, you could also buy the Plus as a cheaper option. Now, the Plus in many ways is very similar to the Macs that preceded it, such as the 512K and the 128K, in that it had the same CPU, which was a Motorola 68000 running at 8 megahertz. It had 1 megabyte of system RAM as standard, expandable up to 4 megabytes. And it's able to run, I believe it's system, system 2, all the way through to system 7.5.5, provided you have enough memory. So at this point, we'll have a closer look at it. Here we have the front view of the Macintosh Plus. And as you can see, it's very similar to the Apple Macintosh models that came before it, such as the 128K and the 512K. But the Macintosh Plus actually came out in two different styles. When it first came out, it was released in the same grey, well, I shouldn't say grey, more of a dark brown colour as the 512 and 128. But in 1987, it was then changed to the colour you see here, which was the more lighter beige colour, or platinum colour I think they called it, that was also used by the SE and the SE30 and other models that came after. So if anything, this is really a second revision of the Macintosh Plus, the one that you're looking at here. But apart from the colour, the two revisions were exactly the same. So looking at the front, we have, as usual on all compact Macintosh models, we have the brightness control for the CRT down here. And over here, we have the keyboard port. Now, you might be wondering what type of connector that is. Now, that is actually nothing more than a standard RJ12 telephone style connector, which was used by all Macintosh models up to and including the Plus for the keyboard. So the keyboard actually plugged in to the front, which is actually quite a clever idea. It would make sense to have the keyboard port on the front, I think. And then above that, we have the Apple logo and the Macintosh Plus name tag, and across from that we have the slot for the single internal floppy drive. This was another feature that the Macintosh Plus had, which was it actually supported the newer 800K, which is the double-sided 3.5-inch floppy disks. Technically, it wasn't the first Macintosh to support that. The 512KE, which was released before, I believe, was the first to support that, but it was a worthwhile improvement because I think you'll agree that even with older Macintosh software, using 400 kilobyte disks doesn't really give you enough space. So this one is a standard 800K internal floppy. And above that, we have the standard 9-inch black and white screen, the same one that was used on the 128K and 512, with a resolution of 512 by 342 pixels. So that's the front view of the Macintosh Plus. Now we'll have a look at the side. Here is the side view of the Macintosh Plus. There's not much to really talk about here, although it's worth noting that down the bottom, just behind the grill here, we have the interrupt and reset switches, which are actually on the logic board. And I believe that some Macintosh Pluses had a little plastic button that would clip over the top of this to allow those switches to be used. But other than that, all we have down here is a cooling vent. It's worth noting that the Macintosh Plus, along with the 512 and 128K, did not have a built-in cooling fan, so it relied purely on convection for cooling the case. And that's why you have the cooling inlet, air vents down the bottom, and you have the hot air exhaust vents at the top of the case. So that's the side view of the Plus. Now we'll take a look at the back. Here's the rear view of the Macintosh Plus, and starting from the top, we have the built-in carry handle. We also have the cooling vents. You can see them on either side there, that help to allow any warm air collected inside the case to rise out of the unit, although there are also some vents up on the very top, which you can just see if I zoom in there. There are vents along the top of the case on both sides as well. And Macintosh models after the Plus, such as the SE, did not have those, only because they had a cooling fan built in which was able to help cool the machine. So down from there we have the real-time clock backup battery compartment. Now this compartment normally would have a battery in it, but as you can see, I've removed it. There's a very good reason why I've done that, because the batteries that were used in these older Macintosh computers, over time, like almost any battery, they leak. And when they leak, they corrode. And I've seen some older Macintoshes like this, where the battery, the original battery, which is, I think it was an Energizer alkaline battery, was left in there for 20, 25 years, and it's completely corroded, and it often corrodes the battery terminals away completely as well. So this one, thankfully, is not corroded, but normally the backup battery for the real-time clock and the other, the parameter RAM or PRAM settings would go in there. Down from that, we have the power switch and the power inlet, and over here we have the information tag. So you notice that it actually says Macintosh Plus 1 megabyte, and that was to basically to really reinforce the fact that it had a full 1 megabyte of system memory, which back in 1986 was quite a lot. So Apple Computer Incorporated, made in USA, model number M0001AP, and that's all the information we have on there. Now to the side of that we have the lock for a security cable, and then down at the bottom we have the various ports. So we have audio out, we have the mouse port. Now, the Macintosh Plus did not use the ADB protocol for all the keyboards and mice. The Macintosh SE was the first to do that. So the Plus, along with the models that preceded it, such as the 128K and the 512K, used this style of connector for the mouse. Here we have the external floppy drive connector. And here we have, well, it's actually shown here, of course, as an external hard disk connector, but it is in fact a SCSI connector. So normally it would be used for hooking up hard disks, but you could hook up other devices to it, such as external CD-ROM drives, magneto-optical drives, and even old zip drives will also work. In fact, I think I can demonstrate that a little bit later. Next to that, we have the printer and modem ports, and that's all we have on the back. So this is the rear view of the Macintosh Plus. So at this point, let's have a look inside. Before I go ahead and open the Macintosh Plus up, I should quickly mention how in fact you take it apart, or how you get the case open. It's very similar to other compact Macintoshes of this type, but I'll just go through the procedure very quickly. There are 4 bolts, 4 screws to remove, 2 of which are located up the top here. As you can see, they're just hiding there just near the carry handle, and there are 2 more to remove down at the bottom. One is down here, and the other one is over here on the other side. And these screws are Torx screws. They're not flathead or Phillips head, so you need I think it's a T15 Torx driver to remove them. And one other point is to remove the screws at the top. If the camera's going to focus. Oh, focus. Come on. If the camera's picking it up, you may be able to tell that they're actually recessed quite a long way into the case. So you'll need quite a long Torx driver to get at them, one with quite a long shaft. Here we have the inside view of the Macintosh Plus with the rear cover removed. So starting from the bottom, we have the logic board, which takes up the entire bottom area of the case. And then above that we have the floppy drive that sits here. Remember that the Plus does not have any facility to mount an internal hard disk, so there's no space for one. In fact, you can't mount a second floppy disk in the Plus either, so this is all you have. And then above that we have the CRT itself, the 9-inch monochrome CRT. To the right of that we have the so-called analog board, which contains all of the components necessary to both function as the Macintosh's power supply and also drive the CRT. So the flyback transformer and other components are all here. There's the battery compartment, and there's the rest of the analog board all down there. So I'll now switch to my other camera and we'll have a closer look at the inside of the Macintosh Plus. Here's an alternate view of the inside of the Macintosh Plus from the other side. This is the other side of the analog board, and as you can see we've got the protective covering and the various screen adjustments. So we have width here, cut off and focus here. This is the voltage setting. I know that newer Macs such as the SE and SE30 actually had multi or auto adjusting voltage power supplies. It seems that the Plus does not, so that's where that's how you find out what voltage yours is set to. Height, and that looks like I think it's the 12 volt reference voltage setting there. The speaker I believe sits on the other side of that grill there. And so let's go to the other side. So there's a close-up of the CRT and the deflection yoke. analog board here, flyback transformer, some other connectors there. That's the connector there for the deflection yoke. That's the main power supply connector there. What else do we have? Battery compartment, various other components there. There's the floppy drive, and we can see the logic board down the bottom there. So what we'll do now is we'll take the logic board out and have a closer look at that. Before I take the logic board out of the Macintosh Plus, I thought I might give you an overview on how you can do it, how to take the logic board out. And it's actually quite easy, given that the Plus is quite simple internally. So I've got the Plus tipped on its front, as you can see here. And to get the logic board out, all you have to do is remove two connectors from the logic board. There is one up here for the floppy drive, and there is one below that, just there, for the power supply. So once you remove those two connectors, you can go ahead and lift the logic board up so that it clears these little tabs here. Lift it all the way up and it should come straight out. Here we have the logic board out of the Macintosh Plus. So let's have a closer look at it. So starting from the bottom, we have the memory expansion. And as I mentioned previously, the Macintosh Plus was the first model of Macintosh to use the industry standard SIMs, or single inline memory modules, for its memory expansion. These particular ones are 30-pin SIMs, and this one has had 1 megabyte modules installed to take up to a total of 4 megabytes, which is the most that a Macintosh Plus can take. So originally it would have had 256 kilobyte SIMs for a total of 1 megabyte originally. Various logic chips over here. Down here we have the keyboard connector. Then what else do we have? This, I believe, is the CPU. Yes, it is. The 68,000 CPU running at 8 megahertz. What else do we have? Up here we've got some support chips. I believe this chip here, let's see, the Vi chip, I believe that is the floppy controller. Then we have the, I believe that's the SCSI controller. I think that one could be the floppy controller, I'm not quite sure. I've forgotten what each of these chips do. I think that's the Vi chip, that's the SCSI chip, and that, I think that is the floppy controller there. And then we have the two ROM chips here. Clock crystal here. Let's see, what else is there? We've got the reset and interrupt switches here. So as you can see, the only way to really access them from outside the machine with the case installed is to clip on the special switch to the outer casing. And if I manage to find one of those, I'll certainly show that to you. The components here. Floppy connector there. Actually, I think that is, no, that's the SCSI controller, I think. So I'm just wondering what that chip is. Not sure. Could be for the serial port. I'm not quite sure. Oh, there's the power supply connector there. And the various ports all up the top here. So not a lot to it really. So that's the logic board from the Macintosh Plus. So what we'll now do is I'll reassemble the machine. We'll hook up a keyboard and mouse, and we'll start it up. Okay, we now have a keyboard and mouse hooked up to the Macintosh Plus. I'm using the original keyboard and mouse that would have come with the machine. We have the Apple Plus keyboard here, which is very similar to the keyboard that was used on the older Macs, such as the 128 and 512K, except that the Plus keyboard had a numeric keypad built in. And we're also using the platinum coloured Macintosh mouse. I've also connected over here an 800K external floppy drive to use. Given that the Macintosh Plus has no hard disk, once you boot the system up off a floppy, it's helpful to have an external floppy drive for your application programs. It prevents a lot of the disk swapping. So at this point, let's turn it on. This Plus has 4 megabytes of memory, so it will take a little bit of time to do its memory test, of course. But we should eventually get the universal blinking question mark disk icon, which is the Macintosh's way of saying that I have no disk to start up from. So, oh, there we are. So it's now waiting for a boot disk. So I'll insert one now. There it goes. So there we are, that's now started up. I believe it's System 6.0.3, but at this point we'll get in and have a closer look. Okay, we now have the Macintosh Plus up and running, so let's have a look at it. So first of all, what version of, well, I can tell already, about the Finder must mean it's running probably something earlier than System 7. So let's have a look. System 6.0.8. So we've got 4 megabytes of memory, which is of course all the Macintosh Plus can take. So let's see what else we have on the System Tools disk A's. This is the installer disk for System 6.0.8. It's in the System folder. Not a whole lot. We have in the control panel. Well, not much there either. Just the basics. Time, RAM cache, speaker. Oh, we don't have any sounds to play with. Oh, that's a shame. That's about all we have on this at the moment. What I will do though is I'll dig up some more classic Macintosh software that will run on an old Plus, and we'll give it a try. The first program I'm going to try on the old Macintosh Plus is a program that's actually, well, as old as the Plus itself. It's an old copy of Microsoft Chart, complete business graphics program for Apple Macintosh. Now, judging by the Microsoft logo you can see there, this has to date back to sometime in the mid-1980s, I would say probably about 1984, 1985. So, let's give it a try. Oh, there we are. Okay, so where's the program? There we are, Microsoft Chart. I've inserted the program disk into the external drive, so I don't have to keep swapping disks in the internal drive. So you can hear both drives seeking away. Okay, so we've got a data series. So how do we... Oh, here we go. Right. Just typing some random values in here. Let's see if we can graph that. Oh, there we go. Oh, there's our graph. Nice and simple. What other types do we have? Well, pretty much all you need. Let's go for a line graph. There there you have it. We've come a long way from the days when there were programs dedicated to drawing graphs. And as of course Microsoft Excel can do all the graphing you need and a whole lot of other things as well. What else have we got? High graph. Oh, there we go. Doesn't do 3D graphs, I presume. I wouldn't have expected it to. Gee, how old is this? Here we go. Interesting, it's the original 1984. Well. So obviously this was designed to run on the original Macintosh 128. How about that? What else we can really do? We do have different types. But there's none of them are 3D, of course. Wouldn't have expected that. This must fit on a single 400K floppy disk. Oh, yes, pie charts. Well, for basic graphing, it seems to do the job pretty well. No, we don't want to save. Okay, so that's Microsoft Chart. And notice as well, a lot of the older Macintosh software, you could actually start the Macintosh up from the program disk. As you can see, we have a basic version of the Macintosh System and all the supporting files along with the program file. And it is in fact a 400K disk. If we look at the amount used and the amount free, that's amazing. Fitting an entire graphing program with the Macintosh System on a 400K disk. Things were a bit simpler back then. I'm actually going to boot the Plus up now from the Microsoft Chart disk, and we'll see what version of system software comes bundled with it. Okay, I've restarted the Macintosh Plus. There are no disks loaded at the moment, so that's why I'm getting the blinking disk question mark icon. So I have the Microsoft Chart disk ready to go. So we'll start the Macintosh Plus up off that disk and we'll see what system software it comes with. Wow, that's fast. That's really fast. Well, let's see what version it is. Well, how about that? It's the original system software, version 1.1G. Wow. So this is System 1, well, 1.1. Oh, yeah, it's a few small differences. Notice the animation that you get when you open the disk. It's a little different from newer versions of the Macintosh System. Okay, we've got a control panel. Let's have a look at the original control panel. Ah, this is the original one, yes. Yes, very simple. We've got, yes, keycaps. Ah, keycaps, yes. Puzzle. What's puzzle? Oh. Well, that's enough of that. Well, at this point, I'll shut this down and we'll try another classic Macintosh program. I've restarted the Macintosh Plus again, and the other program I'm going to try is an old copy of Microsoft Flight Simulator for Apple Macintosh systems. So you can see, if it's going to focus on this, there, oh, there it goes. You can see it's a 400K disk, so it should work just fine in the Plus. In fact, it should work on any older Macintosh as well. Now, I happen to know that with this program, you can't boot your Macintosh up from an alternate disk and then try and run Flight Simulator. It insists that you start the machine up off the program disk. So that's what we'll do. Again, it's a very quick startup. And this looks like it's a newer version, System 4.1. So here we are, Flight Simulator. Let's have a look at this. Oh, there we go. There's the sound. Now, I must admit I have no idea how you work this. Let's have a look in here. What have we got? Sound, navigation, sound, environment, view, file. Oh, demo. Oh, here we go. We'll run the demo. You might think that's cheating, but it's the best way to see Flight Simulator in action. Still on the runway. Oh, there we go. The sound does get a bit monotonous, though. It's amazing to think that this program fits on a single 400 kilobyte disk, and I presume it can run in as little as probably 512K or 1 megabyte of memory as well. It's quite amazing. Okay, that's enough of that. Quit. Click the first repeater for. Okay, I just want to quit. Oh, there it goes. So that was the 1986 Macintosh Plus. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.